A couple of years ago, the Toyota GR Corolla made a big impression on the auto industry. It was a fun rally car for the road for about $45,000 Canadian. However, it wasn't perfect. So for 2025, Toyota made some changes to the GR Corolla. Now, are they enough? Well, let's go for a drive and find out. Starting off with the engine, it still is a 1.6 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder, and it still produces 300 horsepower for this model year. But what has changed is the torque that it produces. It's now been bumped up to 295 pound-feet across all trim levels of the GR Corolla. Power delivery feels the same as before, so below 3,000 RPMs there isn't a whole lot of boost, but above that it feels like an old school turbocharged car. This engine is very buzzy, and at lower RPMs it doesn't sound that great, but once you rev it out, it does start to sound a little bit better. Another change for this model year is that the Torsen limited slip differentials, both in the front and on the back, are now standard across all trim levels. In Canada, those were already standard, but now in the United States, they're also standard. Also, the GR4 system has been renamed, or at least the drive modes have been renamed, I should say, and they no longer display 50/50, 60/40, or 30/70. Now it's just normal, gravel, and track, but they still perform the exact same way. So in the normal mode, if you push this car a bit too hard going into a corner, it will understeer, more so with this particular demo vehicle because it's on winter tires, so they don't really have that much grip compared to the summer tires that this car normally comes with. However, if you switch it into track mode, then the car is going to feel a little bit more neutral, and if you turn off traction control and stability control, then you can actually get it to slide a little bit. And that's about it for the powertrain changes of this 2025 Corolla. Oh no, wait, forgot one big change for this model year. It now has an 8-speed automatic transmission. Toyota calls this the direct automatic transmission, or DAT. But it's not some sort of fancy dual clutch. It's a traditional torque converter driven automatic transmission. The first few gears of this transmission feel like as though they have the same ratios as the manual transmission, because you still need to shift into third gear in order to reach 100 kilometers an hour. However, now the engine's RPMs are not going to be as high when you're doing 100 kilometers an hour on the highway. The gear changes are smooth in everyday driving situations. You can feel them if you pay close attention, and more so you do feel them on downshifts when you brake really hard, but it doesn't make for an uncomfortable drive or anything like that. Switching the car into sport mode, of course, sharpens up these gear changes, and you can even use the paddle shifters without much of any delay in them. Best of all, this automatic transmission makes the GR Corolla much more livable on a day-to-day basis. I don't have to worry about hill starts, I don't have to worry about slipping the clutch, and my left leg isn't going to get tired in rush hour traffic. The fuel consumption remains the same as well if you option it with the 6-speed manual transmission. But with the new 8-speed automatic, the fuel economy is actually worse. That took me a little by surprise, as modern automatics return better fuel economy ratings than manual transmissions. So the 2025 Toyota GR Corolla Automatic is rated for 12.1 liters per 100 kilometers in a city and 8.6 liters per 100 kilometers on a highway. In the real world, I noticed this increase in fuel consumption as I averaged 10.4 liters per 100 kilometers versus 9.7 the last time I drove the GR Corolla with the manual transmission. Although the automatic transmission makes this car more livable on a day-to-day basis in rush hour traffic, the ride is still stiff. Driving over deep potholes or uneven manhole covers feels as though the wheels don't have any tires on them. On longer journeys, the ride can be punishing. In addition to having a stiff ride, the Toyota GR Corolla has a very loud cabin. Of course, you'll hear that 3-cylinder engine when you put your foot down, and it has a nice growly sound to it. Plus, every time that you lift your foot off the throttle pedal under boost, you can hear the blow-off valve. But when you're not pretending to be a rally driver, a lot of tire noise intrudes into the cabin. You'll have to turn up that radio in order to drown out the noise. The interior of the 2025 Toyota GR Corolla remains largely unchanged over the previous model years. You still get an 8-inch infotainment touchscreen, dual-zone automatic climate controls right underneath it, but of course, the biggest change is the automatic shifter, which looks like it's straight out of the regular Corolla. You still get a manual handbrake, and now of course you do get paddle shifters on the steering wheel. Materials wise, it's still not the greatest considering the amount of money that you're paying for this car. So there's hard plastics on the dashboard. Granted, there are some softer plastics on the very top of the dashboard, but still most of it is largely plastics. There's gloss black on the center console and also surrounding the climate controls and also a little bit on the door panel. So if you don't take care of it, fingerprints, dust, they're all going to be easily visible on this trim if you don't take care of it. In terms of space, up here in the front seats, plenty of it for my 6'4" height. I have more than enough legroom and more than enough headroom. The driver's seat is height adjustable, the passenger seat is not, but both of them are manually adjustable. There's no power options. And as for the seats themselves, I find them to be very comfortable, and I do like this suede Alcantara material that's on them. It keeps you nice and tight and snug in them. The bolsters are not too bad. They feel just fine for my height. And same goes with the bolsters on the lower cushion. They don't feel too big and they don't impede you getting in or out of the car. In the back seats, it's a completely different story. I have no space for my above average height, especially sitting behind my tall 6'4" driving position. Perhaps if a shorter individual was driving the car and the seat was a bit more forward and a shorter person was sitting behind them, then space would be a little bit better, but otherwise those back seats are very tight. In the trunk, space remains the same at 503 liters. You can of course fold down the rear seats for more cargo space, and underneath the floor you do have a few small cubbies for small items, but no spare wheel. Instead, you do get a tire repair kit. So all in all, no major changes for the interior of the 2025 Toyota GR Corolla. Another change for the 2025 Toyota GR Corolla is its price. It's now more expensive. The base price is roughly 2,000 Canadian dollars more expensive than the previous model year, so this car now starts at around $48,500. With that base model, you can add on the premium package, but it'll cost you an additional $8,000 Canadian. If you want it with the automatic transmission like this one, it comes fully loaded, but it also adds on an additional $10,000 to the base price. So it's around $58,500 Canadian. So going fast is not cheap. At least for the price of the automatic GR Corolla, it does come as a fully loaded vehicle. It has a dual zone automatic climate control, a wireless phone charging pad, heated front seats along with a heated steering wheel, an 8-inch touchscreen with Toyota's latest infotainment system, which allows for wireless CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, a 12.3-inch driver display with 3 different zones to allow for custom gauges and information, a backup camera, auto high beams, power mirrors, power windows, power locks, push-button start with keyless entry, a head-up display, 8-speaker JBL audio system, front and rear parking sensors, and full-speed adaptive cruise control. And I'm sure that by now you've probably noticed that the 2025 GR Corolla looks different than the previous model year. Most of the changes are to the front end to help improve cooling for this car. If you get it with the automatic, then it also comes with a sub radiator as well as a transmission cooler. The carbon fiber roof is now available on both trim levels. However, for the base one, you do have to add on the premium package in order to get the carbon fiber roof. And around back, doesn't really look any different than the previous model year. You still get the same triple exhaust pipes, same wide fenders, and same taillights. In the end, the addition of the automatic transmission to the GR Corolla not only makes it more attainable for those that don't know how to drive a car with a manual transmission, but it also makes the car faster and more livable on a day-to-day basis. Sure, it's not as engaging to drive as the 6-speed, but the great thing is we have a choice now. Personally, I think I would pick the GR Corolla with the automatic because I just don't see myself driving on backcountry roads all that much to really enjoy the 6-speed. I drive mostly on city streets and the occasional track day, but that's just me. What about you? Which one would you pick? Let me know in the comments. And if you would like to know more about this car, I have a more detailed written review of it over on my website. You can find that link in the video description or click on the pop-up banner right up here. And as always, I will see you in the next car, truck, or most likely it'll be an SUV next time. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one.